Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is Melody back with Melody Loves Death Metal, and I'm doing a different style of video today. No showing off records or anything like that. Gonna be talking about a response video to Jürgen, Six Beers, Nine Wives, or just Jürgen if you know who that is. He is one of my favorite YouTubers. Does not upload enough. So Jürgen, if you're watching this, you don't upload enough. Just has an awesome collection. He's been in the music scene forever, out in Germany. He's got a wealth of knowledge about heavy metal, thrash, death metal, everything in metal. Like he's just awesome videos. He's been a heavy metallurgy several times. He was just actually on heavy metallurgy last weekend for the creator discography conversation. But he made a video a couple days ago called "The Vinyl Trend and What I Hate About It," and it was a rant video about all these things about vinyl pressings and the trends in collecting and stuff like that that drive him nuts and make him really upset. And some of the things I didn't really care or didn't really get upset about that he talked about, like it's never really been any of my concern or my things that I've had gripes about. But some of the stuff I definitely agreed with him on. And then I figured, you know what, let's just have a conversation about today. Let's talk about it. So I wrote notes about what he talked about. So the first thing he got really in detailed about was colored vinyl. And this is definitely like probably one of the most hot issues in the vinyl community. A lot of people bitch about color vinyls, especially people who have collected vinyl for a very, very long time, like Jürgen himself and several of the other VCLT out here in the YouTube community. They've been collecting vinyl, since they were kids. And then there's me who did not collect vinyl until about 13 years ago, and came in at the beginning and the height of the color vinyl explosion. And he talks about this. And I fully am on board with only collecting black vinyl. I like black vinyl. I don't have any issues with it. Now that I'm over this colored vinyl fad, I don't care anymore. Now that I have a really good record player, I mean, it's not the best record player, but I spent like $350 on that record player. That's a pretty pricey record player. I have really good speakers and stuff, not the best. It's not the most state of the art and most expensive setup in regards to how I listen to my music, but it's good enough and I can hear differences in quality of vinyl, especially if they're audiophile pressings, like a lot of the stuff that I've been collecting with the analog productions pressings for, other genres of music, my jazz albums, stuff like that. I hear that a lot. Not so much with metal music. Metal music as a whole is pretty tough in terms of sound quality in my opinion, to notice subtle differences in regards to sound. So anyway, the color vinyl pressing is a lot of people collect color vinyl for the color. Like they love collecting vinyl for the colored vinyl. I too was one of those people for a very long time. A lot of my friends are that way. If there's an option to choose black or color, most of the time, if not almost all the time, we'll collect just the colored versions. However, now I'm to the point where if only a black version exists, I don't care. I pick it up. When I first started collecting, I wouldn't get it on black vinyl. It was such a stupid thing. I don't understand like what my thought process was. I was caught up in the colors. Now I almost prefer the black version, and there's a reason for this. With colored vinyl, you can't see scratches as easy, scuffs, fingerprints, those types of things. And I personally cannot stand that. With black, you can see it all, especially when I'm buying used vinyl from a record store or off of Discogs or eBay. I want to be able to see those things, especially in pictures, and it's easy to show those in pictures, especially when I'm buying a record that's expensive. I don't do that very often anymore, as you guys know, but I do plan on some days trying to collect OG copies of vinyl, and having them on black just makes me feel a little bit more secure, knowing that you can see those defects within the vinyl. Color definitely masks that. Now, warping and stuff is a whole different thing. Like, that's just a hit or miss thing. That shit happens regardless, no matter who you buy from, where you get it from, etc. But the color thing, I get it, and I do feel like labels should offer a black vinyl variant as well as color variants. Now, I do know, and I've talked to several people in the past about this from like other labels like 20 Buck Spin and something like that, and have asked about the color variants versus the black variants and what they decide to press black variants on. And they don't always press black variants. 20 Buck Spin does. They're good about that. They do. They do a very limited run of them. In fact, that's their most limited run of vinyl pressing. So if you're a person that wants the most limited run, get black, because they press very little of them because they don't sell. But some people just don't press black vinyl. Some labels, especially smaller labels, ones that don't have as much, funding to put into pre-orders and stuff like that. They don't press black vinyl because people just don't buy them. The color fad has taken over the vinyl collecting community. They don't factor in the old school collecting mentality and stuff like that. Like, I know that that's the reason why. However, I agree with Jürgen here. I think that they should at least press a limited run for the people that only want to collect black vinyl. It can't possibly be that much more expensive. I've looked into vinyl pressing and how expensive it is and how much it costs in black color variants. Like, they can definitely make up the cost for that, especially since they're charging a color tax. A lot of labels charge color tax on their records. Now, the good labels that don't do that, like aka 20 Buck Spin or Dark Descent Records or any of these awesome underground metal labels that understand they don't want to rip you off, they don't do that. But the major labels will do that. I'm looking at you, Nuclear Blast. You know exactly what you've done, especially with those Testament reissues. Fuck you with those Testament reissues, by the way. So I completely, I'm very empathetic to this. I understand it. I agree. The black vinyl variant should be something that should be available for all the collectors. And I will be honest with you, I probably would buy black more if that was an option. Now, there are times where I buy things through distros, like I've said previously, like Blast Beat Vinyl, Vinyl Command, Iron Fortress, Hell's Headbangers, NWN. They don't always supply the black version of it. They buy the color, and that's what they get in stock. And if it's a European record that I don't want to spend $30 on shipping for, I just whatever. I buy that version from what I'm able to get. Sometimes accessibility can be kind of a pain in the ass for us for that reason. However, black vinyl, I'm totally on board with that. Don't have any problems with it. In fact, like I said, for the actual, like, knowing if you have a very solid record, being able to see the scuffs, scratches, whatever, like, that is ultimately one of the reasons why black vinyl is supreme. Now, in regards to the sound of black versus color, I don't want to get into that. Jürgen didn't get into it. I'm not going to talk about it. People are so persistent that black sounds better than color. I think it's been debunked relatively a lot over the last several years. I personally don't hear a difference whatsoever in the two, so I'm not even going to get into that topic. The next point that he called out is double LPs. If it's a double LP for a record that's about 30 minutes or less, they press it on double LP. And he's like, why? And I agree with you. Why? No. Keep it to a single LP. I get it. I understand why you press on 45 RPM. As you get further into the in-groove, the sound quality deteriorates, etc., etc. I understand all those points, but if the record itself was only like 30 minutes long, there is no reason to be putting that in a double LP. It's annoying. I don't really have the biggest strong opinions on that, but that is something that I have noticed that people are doing in the industry, and it does kind of drive me crazy, but obviously if it's a 15-minute long record, a double LP works. I get it, but anything past double LPs drive me nuts just to begin with. But yeah, I don't really have the strongest opinions on that. It really just depends on the situation, like what the album is, etc., how many times I'm getting up and having to flip the fucking album. 3 LPs now, I do have strong opinions on that, but we're not talking about that today. The next topic he talked about is prices. And yeah, prices really, really grind my gears here. There are several labels here that I buy from periodically, or just all the time, I should say, not periodically, that are really good about their vinyl prices. They don't overcharge you. NWN, 20 Buck Spin, Dark Descent Records, Iron Fortress, even in his distro for reissuing and like for distroing stuff. Like, these labels understand not to rip you off with the vinyl prices. They keep them really at a good price, anywhere between $22, $27. Like, it rarely ever goes past 25, to be honest, for a lot of things. Even Masako, which, by the way, has some of the best vinyl prices ever, because generally they're anywhere with US dollars, they're below $20. However, the shipping is what gets you there for that. So whenever I see a distro selling a Masako pressing, like the new Hyperdontia album, for $35, $40, they're charging you for the shipping cost there. not for the actual vinyl price, because he doesn't sell those for that expensive. So that shit drives me crazy. But that's a whole different situation. Pricing on vinyls. Some of the labels that I cannot stand how they price their vinyls, and there's absolutely no reason for it, because the shit that you get with the vinyl does not make up for the cost. Century Media, Napalm Records. I love Napalm, don't get me wrong. They do press really quality things, but there's a couple of things where I've gotten recently where the vinyl was like $35 and they were bare bones. I was like, what the fuck? Nuclear Blast is on my shit list right now for the Testament reissues that they did. They pressed two, the Legacy, and I'm blanking on the other one right now because I'm so angry. They did a first reissue of that, and the jackets were awful, and they were pixelated, and then they reissued another special edition with an alternate version and all these fancy colors for $50 a pop. Fuck you for that. Like, come on now. That made me so mad. And you're paying an alternate version cover tax for this, and a special color variant tax. Century Media is another one. They rarely sell a vinyl less than $25, and then their shipping is like $10 per record. And I just buy off of Amazon now for both Nuclear Blast and Century Media because I get free shipping with Prime, and I don't. And they often are on sale for like 20% off. I'll get a record for like $20 now. I just wait it out most of the time. Like my Borknagar record that I recently got, I bought the CD when it first came out. Several months later, I got the record for $20 on Amazon. When it first came out, it was selling for $30 plus $10 shipping. So I was like, no, I just waited that out. It's ridiculous that the cost of these vinyls are getting to. Metal Blade Records is another one that I hate to shit on, but their main MSRP, like retail value for a record, no matter what it is, no matter how many LPs it is, $29.99, and that adds up. With tax and shipping, you're paying almost $40 for one album. And granted, yes, Metal Blade is really good about adding additional things into the record to make it worth it, like a really nice poster and other things. But every single reissue that they've been doing for like Merciful Fate, King Diamond, Cannibal Corpse, all those things, $30 a pop, and it really just is. That's pricey. That is pricey. There's my dog, Duke. My family's home. I'll be right back. It is utter chaos in my house right now. My family just came home for the day. It's after work. They were gone. They're back now. We're going to be doing dinner and stuff in a minute. So I'm trying to record at any special time that I have available during my day. So apologies if you can hear them in the background. The dogs are going to be barking. It's going to be going crazy. So the prices. Yeah, prices of vinyl is ridiculous. I really respect a lot of the labels that are keeping their prices low because they're not marking it up too bad. And I understand you got to make money, but when there's a major record label like Nuclear Blast, Century Media, Metal Blade, like, you guys are fine. Chill out with the prices, especially the color and special album variant tax. It's bullshit. Chill out. He then talks about bonus shit on reissues. That's exactly what he says. Bonus shit on reissues. He talks about if they're re-releasing an album from 1985, it's only 37 minutes long, and they add 2 additional bonus tracks to the album, like live songs or something else. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like when they do it. They want just reissue it the true way, and then possibly do what High Roller did with a recent Raven reissue, where they reissued the actual album itself, and then for the additional bonus tracks, they threw in a special 7-inch into the record. But they kept the original album true for what it is on the actual pressing. I don't technically really give a shit about that. Actually, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times I buy reissues that I've never owned an original copy, will never own an original copy because, again, I'm a new collector in the scene. I still, even though it's been over 10 years, I still feel like a new collector. Because I've never had access to the OG copies. I didn't own them when they first came out. When they do a reissues, oftentimes that's the only way I can get it because I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars on Discogs or eBay for this OG copy, which unfortunately is just the issue with vinyl resale right now. And for a lot of these OG copies that I would love to own, that, you know, Jürgen and Alan and Marty and Simon and like all of the VCLT that I'm, you know, watch all the time, Laz, all these guys, like, I just have never had access to that. So these reissues, that they include bonus tracks and unheard things and demo stuff like that, I generally welcome it and I really enjoy that. In fact, I bought all of the Death reissues on CD from Relapse that came out like 3 years ago for that, for the bonus CD that they added into there. However, with that, it was two CDs. It was the original album on one CD and nothing else, and then the second CD was the bonus stuff. So that is probably okay. But when they added it like in the actual pressing on the vinyl, it's just a connecting to the album. It's not separated onto another disc or anything like that. Whatever. It's not a big deal for me. I don't have any qualms about it, but I can understand why some people would. But that wasn't really anything that really grinded my gears or got me upset. Seeing he also goes on to talking about remastering and remixing, and how some originals sound better. Again, I just don't have really too much thought around that. There have been some remastering and remixing of albums in the past that I've gotten where I did have the originals and the originals did sound better, and I was upset about it, but it happened so infrequent in my collecting days because, but once again, I've never really had access into the original sound. Even on streaming, like they have the remastered, like that's what you can hear. Like I'd have to really go hunt and find the original sounds. So those things don't really ever bother me, with a few exceptions to it. I will say though, there are some albums that absolutely needed it, and when they finally did it, I was happy about. So those are like the few exceptions. But when it comes to like the remastering and remixing and stuff, I don't get too worked up about it. Uh, Obviously, so most recently, I will admit, when they did, and this is not metal, so apologies, the Van Halen Collection 2 box set of all of the Sammy Hagar albums, they reissued on vinyl and CD, and they said it was just a remaster of the sound, but some of the albums sounded relatively different, like they were remixed. And some people griped about that. I personally didn't hear it too much. I think the sound clarity on a couple of the albums sounded a lot better. They weren't as muddled as some of the original pressings, and stuff like that. But it wasn't anything that really made me upset. But there were some collectors that were really upset about that. So, like, that's the most recent thing that I can think of right now. But when it comes to like metal music and like the original albums and stuff like that, I unfortunately don't have too much input on that. It has to be a really big change for me to really, really hear it. But for the most part, I really don't. Like, I know Edge of Sanity just was reissued on vinyl and CD, and they added additional things and here and there. I got the CDs based off of comments about it and like the certain versions that you can get with the CD versus vinyl. So I just got the CD, but generally I don't really care too much about that. So, and then the last thing he talked about is just the overall annoying record collectors out there that just snatch up anything, they buy anything, it doesn't matter what the price, they grab it no matter what, and they don't even really actually like listen to the records. They have shitty record players, they don't really, like, none of this stuff matters, they just buy it just to collect it, just to have, and that it ruins it for the people that actually do listen to the records, that are actually like music aficionados, like the people that actually want to listen to this stuff and really want to have it in their collection to listen to and not just as a trophy. It ruins that for us because of the price gouging that labels then do, because they just are like, hey, people will just buy anything, and this is proof. Yeah, I mean, that has been a really fucking annoying thing about vinyl collecting that I've had issues with, especially with these annoying ass boutique labels, and I'm not going to name any names, but for the people that are involved, they understand that only press like 150 copies of this super crazy color variant, and they charge like $50, 60 $70 for it, and that's it. They're gone forever. Nessie Media used to be like that. They're not anymore. They reissue everything now. They're super easy to get. Like, they used to be a really hot commodity though, where they did really super limited color vinyl variants that people were reselling for like hundreds of dollars, and it was about $60 just to get one single album, and people were just snatching them up. They were selling out like crazy. And then now you see these other labels that are like, hey, like, people will buy anything, so now they're just putting shit out because they know people are going to buy it. And there's been several examples of that in the community that are really annoying, and it kind of just it's not about the music at that point. and that gets annoying. And I feel like that has calmed down a bit. I feel like during COVID, it was pretty rampant. I don't know if it's gotten any better. I'm not too sure. I don't fall for those things. Some things I do buy just stupidly, like the Black Sabbath Hand of Doom picture disc box set. Like I didn't need that, and that was definitely a cash grab, but I got it anyway because I'm just such a big fan. And there was a couple albums that I've never owned on vinyl that just made it easy to have. But yeah, I that collecting mentality drives me crazy. I can't stand that. And it's not as I would say since I collect other genres of music, it's definitely more apparent in other genres like for sure. I'm really glad I'm not a pop music fan or a hip hop fan because that's where they do it a lot in. And hip hop albums are so goddamn expensive. Like I just and how I know this is like I go to Target, I go to Walmart, I go look at their vinyl aisle, and they got the Taylor Swift albums. It's a one LP for $45. Why? And people buy it, they sell out, and they just snatch it because that's just how her fan base is, and that's just how the collecting is. And same thing with like the new Rolling Stones album that came out last year was the same exact way. It was $40, $45 for that LP. What the hell? And just people just buy them, and like there's a scene there where they just buy it to say, oh, I own this. It's super limited and like it's a first pressing, and they don't actually like listen to it. But again, I don't care how you spend your money and what you do with your collection, but it does unfortunately ruin some of the stuff for us vinyl collectors that actually, you know, buy and listen to our albums and want them and listen to them over and over and have them for a long time and not have it just to show off and say, look what I have. Because again, those marketing trends tend to come at us with the price because then that's how they release things for new issues and stuff like that. I would say it's gotten a little bit better. I don't know, but that's definitely one of the things that has always annoyed me about vinyl collectors, those type of people. But again, it's not worth like losing sleep over. It's just something that he mentioned in his video, so I wanted to chime in about it. Other things about that drive me nuts for vinyl collecting are certain things, and I've talked about them several times on the video. One is crappy paper inner sleeves. Not a paper inner sleeve with a polyliner, like those are fine, but just plain paper that they just put in the vinyl pressing. These people, labels and vinyl pressing plants, know how dumb that is to do on a vinyl. It causes paper scuffing, it scratches the vinyls. Like there's a lot of issues that there is with that. Like there's really no reason for it. And yeah, it's the cheaper option. I'm sure they save quite a bit of money doing that, but also at the same time, it you're selling a product that is supposed to be of quality. You would want to mitigate that. And I know that like a lot of the earlier presses and like the beginning presses of vinyl, that's how they only came. But just throw the paper sleeve in there with the polyliner. So that's just a minor gripe. That's probably one of my biggest ones. The other thing is when you're selling a record that's $35 and you have a gatefold, and the gatefold is just the picture of the band and nothing else. There's no printed inner sheet of the lyrics or liner notes or anything like that. It's just a gatefold with the album artwork, the band in the middle, and on the back the tracks, and then the record. And you're spending $35-$40. Like, Jesus Christ, give us something more for it. Especially if you're reissuing an album that's already been out and you don't choose to include the original printing of it, of the inner sheet in the lyrics. That drives me nuts too. Like just those little things that are just annoying, and I cannot stand when labels do shit like that. And then the final thing that I have a gripe about in regards to vinyl are the mailers. I get so many shitty mailers on my vinyl records from labels. Just these cardboard sleeves basically, and they're like this thin. and that's how they ship it in. No cardboard backing inside of it, no padding on the inside, nothing, just in there. And what's even worse is the record is in the jacket, and they don't put it out in the inner sleeve. Like, oh my god, there's people that don't know how to ship vinyl that have been in the scene forever. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, come on now. Everybody knows you should ship the vinyl record out of the jacket because it can jostle in there and cause seam splits. I have so many examples of that. And now that I notice what they're doing, and I'm really happy about this, is when they shrink wrap an album, which is primarily how I get albums now, they shrink wrap the vinyl outside of the jacket now. I've noticed some pressing plants are doing that now. So at least they've been hearing us for that, because shrink wrap was another issue. So just little nitpicky things. But yeah, the vinyl collecting has been exhausting. It's expensive and ridiculous. It drives me nuts with how limited sometimes things are, and they sell out so fast, and then it takes years for a reissue. And that has led me to appreciate collecting CDs and tape now for that reason. People dog on me for collecting cassettes on here. That's a whole nother video that I'll do. But the collecting in vinyl has been kind of annoying lately. And I've been pretty selective on who I buy from. If it's certain labels, I won't buy directly from them anymore. If I can get away from just getting them from a distro or on Amazon at a discount, then I will do that. Otherwise, I'll just settle for the CD, because just the whole collecting can be really exhausting now. And this sounds like such a privileged problem. I get it. But I really just, Jürgen had me thinking when he did his video the other day, and I figured, you know what, let's do a response video and get some more eyes on his channel. Go subscribe to his channel. He's got an awesome channel. Like I said, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. I love his stuff. I think he's hilarious, but he shows off some awesome things, and he really, really connects me with things that I necessarily wouldn't listen to on a normal basis that I haven't listened to in forever. Like Raven is one of those bands. I obviously like the band, but I cannot tell you the last time I listened to anything. And he also put me on to Protector, and got me to realize oh, hey, High Roller just reissued all of those albums that I really, really like. So stuff like that. So he's just got an awesome music background. He's been in bands. He's been in the scene forever. He shows off these old school metal magazines that are just salivating to watch. So check out Jürgen's video. Shout out to him. I love his channel. And again, he often comes in heavy metallurgy as well. So check out those streams there. That's all I have. Be interested to know what your guys' gripes are about vinyl collecting, and I will link his original video in the description so you can go over there and watch what he had to say, and I will see you guys in the next one.